I'm Michael Fox, and this is the Prospector News podcast. And we are on location at the 50th annual New Orleans Gold Show, which is very apropos the golden anniversary of the world's longest running continuing precious metals event. And I have joining me the Chief Executive Officer of Relevant Gold, Brian Lentz. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Hey, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's good. You and I talk a lot off mic and stuff, and we throw your CEO Rob Bergman to the wolves, but this time it's you wearing the underwear and out in the wolf pack this time. So as we start off these particular discussions, we always start with the 10,000-foot view of the company, who you are, where you're working, and what you're doing.
Yeah, so Relevant Gold, we're early stage gold explorer. We're in Wyoming, which is a excellent place to be exploring. If you're in North America, it's actually one of the best places in the world to explore for minerals. So we're exploring Wyoming with the new Abitibi thesis. It's been published in the academic literature, and we started to connect the economic gold opportunity dots. And so that's kind of the long and the short of why Wyoming, why we're there. We are looking at orogenic gold systems. The Wyoming geologic province used to be attached to the Superior province and the Abitibi gold belts of Canada. And later in geologic time, it broke off and shifted to where it presently resides. So it's under that new Abitibi thesis that we've been exploring in Wyoming. We're a relatively new company. We listed in 2022, and we have a large portfolio of projects with this new belt scale thesis in Wyoming. So excited to be here and talk to you, give you some updates today on our projects.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to get the updates. So what I've always liked about this particular company and projects is the interesting thesis that the Abitibi is splittered off and is where it is right now, because you have this interesting juxtaposition where you have a very highly explored area in Ontario and Quebec called the Abitibi, that should be a mirror image of what you having to find in Wyoming, yet the Wyoming area itself has been very underexplored. So you guys have taken and put a lot of boots on the ground to do that ground roots exploration. Let's talk about that. You guys are very systematic in how you approach things. Let's go through your methodology.
Yeah, exactly. We're a very technical group, and the systematic exploration is a key component to how we've identified the areas that in our properties and projects that we've acquired over the past few years, and our approach to exploring them. Most of our projects, actually all of our projects, have never been drilled before. So in order to get to the drilling, we need to be able to do the right amount of geology work to really have strong drilling targets. I'm always a firm believer that you can drill things too soon, and that can really hurt you in your project. Drilling is very expensive. It's a very important part of the process, but we're a firm believer that you need to make sure you're doing your geological boots on the ground and really establishing good drill targets so that when you get to the point of drilling, you can drill the best holes.
Yeah, most definitely. You don't want to get to that old punchline of the joke. What's geology? Guesswork and alcohol.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the projects that we're really excited about coming out of the work and results from this year is our Bradley Peak project. In quarter one this year, the Wyoming Geological Survey published a large airborne geophysical survey that they had funded in partnership with the USGS and their Earth MRI program. That survey covered both of our camps, our South Pass camp and our Bradley Peak camp. And it really highlighted the structural complexity and large fold structure at our Bradley Peak camp. So it's 120 square kilometer fold structure that's been tilted, and it lies right offset of the main suture zone that stretches over 150 kilometers through central Wyoming. So the survey in the early part of the year, with the release of that data, it really highlighted both of our properties, but Bradley Peak especially. And that was one of the areas that we had done the least amount of our systematic exploration, geology work. So that was a real focus of this year's program. We did a bunch of geology mapping and sampling, highlighted by some incredible results: 46.8 grams per ton gold in our apex target, multiple percent copper. We had over 1% zinc, 0.5% lead. So we're seeing both a large orogenic precious metal signature, as well as some potential VMS and base metal signatures in systems at Bradley Peak as well. So big systems, high grade systems, and really amplifying the analogs to what we see in the Abitibi.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I find it interesting that you've actually selected the favorite child out of all your potential projects. Rob always tap dances around that that question as to which way you go. Now, you guys have Dr. Peter Megaw on your board, and as part of your consultancy group. He's a known elephant hunter.
Mm-hmm.
What's he think of the groundwork so far on this particular target?
Yeah, well, we were able to actually have a bit of a Q&A session with him. So I encourage the audience to go hear for yourself what Peter thinks. You can go to our website, and tap into that interview. But Peter was able to get out to Bradley Peak in June this year. He was really excited with the rocks that we were finding through our work. And Peter loves to get on the ground and see the rocks for himself. He is has a world depth of knowledge base, not just on big systems and scale, but also in a lot of the technical components of details of geology. So I really enjoyed having the opportunity to get some boots on the ground with him at Bradley Peak, as well as in South Pass this past year, and seeing his excitement definitely amplified mine as well.
Yeah, I like working with Dr. Megaw. I find that he takes the geology and makes it relevant to people like myself who aren't geologists, and they pick up a rock and they look at it and go, "Hey, this is a rock," as opposed to Peter picking up a rock and seeing what he sees in it. But he makes you understand what he's seeing in it, which is part of the man's brilliance.
Absolutely.
So as we go forward, it sounds as though now you're actually identifying targets on the Bradley Peak that are now drill ready. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So that was one of our main goals out of our work this year, was to do enough work to identify potential drilling targets at Bradley Peak. And the apex target we've identified kind of has risen to the top of the list based off of the work and the data and the results that we have from this year. So in the off season here during the winter, we're going to be putting together a drilling program, permitting that program, and raising some additional capital to be able to really hit the ground running, and kick off a drilling program at our apex target next year. So that's our goal there. I would also add too, with Kinross coming in on their 9.9 strategic equity investment in Relevant Gold in July this past year, they're also very excited about Bradley Peak, and to get some holes into the apex target as well. So we're very happy with their support. We are looking forward to putting the first ever drill holes into the apex target at Bradley Peak and continuing our systematic exploration process.
Yeah, wonderful. So you guys are in high country, Wyoming.
Mhm.
When you say next year, you mean when snowfall breaks.
Yeah.
What time of the year does that generally look like? And I know some years you couldn't get on the property until like almost August.
Yeah, and maybe not quite that late. We're hopeful that we're targeting kind of a May June timeframe to be fully up into the field season. So there's been some years in the past where we've had record snowfalls, and we're getting in to Bradley Peak kind of early to mid June. But we're generally seeing the ability to get in kind of early to mid May. So that's kind of what we're looking at as far as a time frame to get a program kicked off. And I think that'll go over well to make sure we've got plenty of time to design a drill program, permit that drill program, and really have everything in place to execute.
Do you have any idea at this stage how big of a program is planned to be? How many holes? How deep?
We haven't finalized that. I've got my wish list. I would love to put somewhere between 5 and 10,000 meters of drilling into the apex target next year. I mean, the apex target is this large dilational zone, high grade gold, copper. It's over 2.5 kilometers of strike length. We're in the mountains at Apex in Bradley Peak, and so we also see these large vein structures. We're able to map out pretty consistently across that 2.5 kilometers of strike length, but also well over 300 meters of vertical relief as well. So really, it's a three-dimensional picture that we're starting to be able to put together with our surface mapping work, putting a good amount of drill holes in over that large area. I think it'll give us a really good it'll set us up really well to be able to start to put some more pieces together of what that looks like in the third dimension through drilling.
So when you say 5 to 10,000 meter program, which is a wish list,
Yep.
are you looking at many multiple holes at shallow depth or a handful of holes at deep depth?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to get 20, 30 plus holes. I think that'll give us some depth component. These systems can, these are vertical ore systems that can continue very deep. So I do think it's important that we start to get some understanding of depth, but also, we don't want to exhaust the drill budget with just a couple of deep holes. I think getting a good number of pierce points across the strike length of the system will also be very important.
Okay, wonderful. So I'd like to use a Rick Ruleism here. He always wants to know what the unanswered question that you're looking for the answer to is. So with this drill program, what is that unanswered question and what are the answers you're looking for?
Yeah, I think one of the big questions that we are going to try and answer is the continuity of the veining that we're seeing with this structure. So, in our surface results, I had mentioned that that high grade gold sample, 46.8 grams, that was within a 3-meter vein outcrop at surface. So, what does that vein look like at depth and along strike? We have been able to consistently map exposures, as I had mentioned, over that not just the strike length, but also with that 300-meter kind of vertical component. So I think it'll be really important for us to try and answer the question of, does this continue at depth? Are we seeing pinching and swelling in this structure? Are we seeing what is the continuity that we're seeing along strike and at depth of that structure? And from there, I think it'll give us the ability to really focus in on the dilational zones within there, which is generally where you're finding the higher grade components of the system.
Wonderful. Now, you'd said that you're going to need to go back to the market to raise some funds to pay for this.
Yeah.
Roughly how much do you figure is going to be needed to be raised, and when are you looking to go to the market for that?
Yeah, we haven't really put a final pin in exactly how much we want to go and raise, but like I said, my wish list is I really think we need to put at least 5,000 meters of drilling into the apex target. And so, we would want to go to market to make sure that we can get at least, that amount of funds to be able to do that amount of work next summer. I've got a long wish list of other work that needs to get done and I'd love to get done. One of the things actually that we have done is there's a grant program through the Wyoming Energy Authority that we've applied. We've submitted an application for, and so that's a grant matching program. So if we were to get accepted for that, we could have up to $5.5 million of funding through that program. We'll see if that happens or not, but I think it just goes to show some of the pieces that we have kind of in progress and in play right now that could really help amplify the type of program we might be able to execute on next year.
Well, it's exciting to see how the hard work has taken like this big, vast area and started to get it right down to where the drill bits need to go. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen next year. For those other people, they're going to be excited to see what's going to happen next year. How do they follow the story?
Yeah, well, you can definitely follow us on LinkedIn. We're very active on LinkedIn. Our website, we'll have this link to this podcast through our website as well. Other interviews. You can get on our email list. And there's a variety of ways to get a hold of us. We're very active in the conference circuit, as you know. So we always love talking to people in person. Gives great opportunity to get into some of the technical details, which is something I always enjoy.
Yes, no, definitely. And we see each other quite a bit over the course of the year, and it's always a pleasure to see you. And I look forward to our paths cross again early in the new year.
Sounds great. I look forward to it. Thanks for the time.
Relevant Gold is a paid sponsor of the Prospector News. The host owns shares and warrants of Relevant Gold bought at the market for investment purposes. The Prospector News podcast is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not to be taken as investment advice. Listeners need to do their own due diligence and seek advice of a licensed investment advisor.